Winter had settled over the small and peaceful English village of Raven Hollow. One quiet evening, an unusual fire suddenly erupted from an old open field near the village. But this was no ordinary fire. It was not spreading to the left. It was not spreading to the right. It was not burning the grass. It was not setting the trees on fire. Instead, the flames were rising straight upward into the sky. The villagers stood frozen in shock. Within minutes, nearly the entire village gathered around the mysterious sight. Among them was a beautiful and intelligent young woman named Jade Walker. Jade stared at the fire in confusion. Where did this fire come from? Our village doesn't even have a gas pipeline, and gas fires look completely different. Petrol fires have their own characteristics too. But this fire, this is something entirely different. It almost feels as if it doesn't belong to this world. Fear slowly spread among the villagers. The fire department was called immediately. Several fire trucks arrived within minutes. Firefighters used water, foam, and chemical extinguishers. Nothing worked. The fire continued to rise toward the sky as if nothing had touched it. Villagers began recording videos on their phones. Soon the videos reached local television stations. Within hours, the story had spread across Britain. Before long, news channels all over the world were broadcasting reports about the strange fire. Social media, television, and YouTube were all discussing one thing: the fire that only climbs into the sky. More fire departments arrived. Hundreds of firefighters tried to stop it, then thousands, but nobody could extinguish it. Then something happened that left the entire world speechless. The flames reached the clouds, then they climbed beyond the clouds, but they did not stop. The fire continued moving higher and higher. It seemed as if its destination was not the earth, but somewhere far beyond the sky itself.
Days passed, but the mysterious fire continued its journey toward the heavens. The story was no longer limited to England. Every major news network in the world was discussing the phenomenon. People began giving it names. Some called it sky fire, others called it the endless flame, and some named it the stairway to heaven fire. But one terrifying fact worried everyone. Nobody could see where the fire ended. Government scientists, astronomers, and researchers from around the world continued studying the phenomenon. After several days of research, they discovered something shocking. The fire was moving upward at a speed of nearly 160 kilometers per hour. Scientists attempted to collect samples. The results only increased the mystery. It was not natural gas. It was not underground oil. It was not a chemical reaction. And it did not match any known fuel on Earth. One scientist spoke during an international conference. This fire does not fit within our current scientific understanding. Another expert added, we cannot prove that this is a natural event. And we cannot prove that it is man-made. Some people suggested extraterrestrial life. Government scientists quickly responded, we currently have no evidence that intelligent life exists outside Earth. For that reason, we cannot connect this phenomenon to extraterrestrials. Another strange detail soon became public. The field where the fire originated measured almost 10 kilometers across. Yet the fire never spread even a single step beyond its boundaries. It moved only upward, as if some invisible force was pulling it toward space. Weeks later, scientists announced that the fire had reached an altitude of nearly 3,000 miles above Earth. Extinguishing it had become impossible. But the greatest mystery was still waiting. Despite its enormous size, the heat was incredibly weak. People could stand only 40 steps away without discomfort. Their clothes did not burn. The trees remained unharmed. The ground never became hot. It felt as though the fire was burning without actually burning anything at all. Only one question remained in humanity's mind. If this fire was not destroying anything, what exactly was it traveling toward in the sky?
More days passed. Powerful storms arrived. Heavy snow covered the region. Violent rain poured from the sky. Strong winds swept across the countryside. But the mysterious fire continued rising upward. The rain could not extinguish it. The snow could not affect it. The wind could not move it. Governments around the world grew increasingly worried. Eventually, authorities announced stricter restrictions. No aircraft, helicopters, or aerial vehicles are permitted to fly near or above the fire. Airspace around Raven Hollow was closed. Airlines changed flight routes. Many flights were canceled completely. At night, the light from the fire could be seen from neighboring countries. Yet the flames still refused to spread sideways. They continued their endless journey upward. Governments feared one possibility above all others. What if one day the fire spread across the earth? What if the entire world burned? Out of fear, authorities ordered the evacuation of Raven Hollow. Surprisingly, many villagers refused to leave. They were afraid, but they could not abandon the homes their families had lived in for generations. Meanwhile, the fire climbed even higher. It rose beyond the limits of modern aircraft. Even specialized research vehicles could no longer determine how high the flames had reached. Rumors spread across the world. Some people called it a sign of the end times. Others believed the fire would eventually consume the earth. Scientists continued measuring its speed. Then came another shocking discovery. Only weeks earlier, the fire had been moving at 160 kilometers per hour. Now its speed had increased to nearly 100,000 kilometers per hour. And it was still accelerating. Yet despite its unimaginable power, the heat remained unchanged. Its warmth could only be felt within 40 steps of the field. Beyond that distance, temperatures returned to normal. The fire was burning, but it was burning nothing. It was moving, but it was destroying nothing. And that fact frightened scientists more than anything else. Because if this fire had not come to destroy, then why had it come at all?
Then, one ordinary morning, everything changed. The fire disappeared instantly. Not slowly, not gradually. It vanished in a single moment. As if someone had simply switched it off. There was no explosion. There was no smoke. There was no sound. One moment the flames stretched thousands of miles into the heavens. The next moment they were gone. The world stood in disbelief. Soon celebrations began across the globe. Several days later, scientists and government teams entered the field for investigation. They carefully approached the place where the fire had once stood. Everything was silent. Everything was calm. The ground was cold. Even stranger, the soil inside the field had turned completely white, almost like snow. Scientists dug deep into the earth. They collected samples. They performed every test available. But they found nothing unusual. The soil was ordinary. The field was ordinary. Everything appeared completely normal. Humanity never solved the mystery. Years passed. Life slowly returned to normal. But one question remained forever. What was the sky fire? Perhaps there are events in the universe that human intelligence and science may never fully understand. And perhaps, sometimes, the universe simply reminds humanity that knowledge has limits.